we were in negotiations.
Investing in real estate. They're winning, they're making money.
What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Real Estate Educators Podcast, where we provide the education you can build on. I am your host, Kevin Amolsch. Thank you for tuning in. This has been such a great and fun experience, great podcast. We're getting closer to 100 episodes now. So if you're a real estate investor or if you're a real estate educator, so you're out there building a portfolio, fixing and flipping, or if you're educating or providing content to investors, this is the podcast for you. I have a cool guest with me today. It's something a little bit different, not necessarily tied to the real estate industry like so many of our investors are, but he definitely has some knowledge around real estate and alternative assets. So Freddie is at Rappina.
That's right.
Thank you so much for joining the show, man. I know you're a retired cop. I know you love your kids. You're a family man, and I know you're an author of a book that sounds like it might be a little bit different than what typical financial advice might be. So I'm excited to get to know you, man. Welcome to the show.
Thanks. I appreciate you having me.
All right, well, let's take us back. So you said right before we hit record that you do like real estate, you like oil and gas and some other alternatives, but really you went from being in law enforcement to now, a decorated, if I could say that. I saw all the initials behind your name, which I don't know what half that stuff means, but I know that you've got some education behind you. So walk me through that process. How do you go from law enforcement to finance?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I get that question a lot. And it was really about just wanting to grow myself and being when I'm doing police work for like $18 an hour as a rookie, and I'm thinking that, I want to be able to build wealth too. I didn't want to just be in that spot where you just work for the X amount of years, you save a whole bunch of money, and then retire. And and I mean, the pension's great, don't get me wrong, but I just wanted something different. And I started getting around wealthy people, and you know and you just get the idea, like, these people put their pants on the same way as you do.
Yeah.
They're not any smarter than I am or anything like that. And that was quite a while ago now. And so I said, oh, well, I want to. Once I started switching my mindset from what I called the checkers mindset to the chess mindset, my wealth started expanding very, very quickly. And, I went back to, went back and got all my certs and started a small firm, and it became quite big very quickly. So for for about 6, 7 years, I had two careers. I was running back and forth across the street. My financial office was right next to my police station. So I was literally running back and forth across the street until I was able to retire fully from the PD, and I now really want to bring this education and this saying something very different from what you typically hear, because I have an evidence-based mindset, and I'm more interested in what people are doing than what they're saying. I'm more interested in what companies are doing, not just what they're selling. And it's been great for our clients. We enjoy working with people who want to switch from checkers to chess, but maybe don't know quite how.
Yeah, I want to dig into that, but real quick,
Yeah.
I'll share a story with you. So this is just like last week, maybe 2 weeks ago. Now we were doing an eviction on a rental property I own, and I brought my 18-year-old and his friends to help with the process, which some people would think is crazy because you're going to witness something that's kind of a tough time, and but I thought it would be a great experience for them. And they're adults now, 18 years old. So I felt comfortable with it. And I got to tell you, man, what ended up happening was the sheriff that was there on site
Mhm.
was very fascinated with this wealth thing,
Mhm.
was asking tons of questions about the property, wants to get involved in rental properties and real estate investing. And so him and I were talking, and then he started giving advice to the kids. And it just turned out to be a pretty positive experience under those circumstances.
Mhm.
I think it's pretty common for that industry, like law enforcement, to be thinking about their future as well. You just took the step and actually are doing it.
Yeah, it's a mindset shift. It really is. When I was a young police officer, I was hardcore checkers player. I was working a million hours of overtime, just putting a whole bunch of money into my retirement accounts, and even started at 529 in 2004. I didn't even meet my wife until 2009 or 2008. And it just was whole prepare, save, save, save. And then one day it just finally just hit me. It was like, wait a second, this is not what they're doing.
Yeah.
This is what they're kind of telling us to do, but this is not what they're doing. So, and I started getting around more people that were, doing different strategies, and then things started really working out, and that's why I started the firm.
That's great. So you sound like you and I would get along, but I got to tell you, the wealth advisors for the most part, I struggle with. And here's why.
Yes.
I think the way that they're comped
Hmm.
is makes it very difficult for them to fulfill their fiduciary responsibility. I think they're chasing commissions. Now, you tell me you like alternative assets, which is not always so easy to get a commission with. So, tell me how, and why are you different than the majority of the players in your industry?
Well, Kevin, I actually don't receive any compensation um, for helping people with the real estate investments side of it. I'm compensated by having the assets under management, and I charge 0.6%, which is lower than most firms out there. And the reason why I can lower the fees is because I know how to build wealth myself, Kevin. I don't need to charge my clients a whole, the typical, because you know I'm doing the same things that I'm practicing what I'm preaching. I'm telling my clients to do the same things that I'm doing in a lot of cases. So, but having the assets under management, and helping the clients use good leverage and purchasing real estate, oil and gas investments, I can receive a commission on, but um, it's really about helping them build a wealth. And if I feel like if you do that, they stay with you.
Yeah.
They keep their assets under management with
I think
us.
that's
And
great, Freddie. I mean, the way
yes.
you've structured this really is in the client's best interest.
Hmm.
So, occasionally I do come across financial advisors like yourself that are attracted to real estate. And look, it's part of a diversified portfolio, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, it's diversifying amongst asset classes. So when people say diversified portfolio, that can mean two
Yeah.
different things, right? When people say, "Oh, I have a diversified portfolio," well, is it made up of like stocks, bonds, mutual funds,
Yeah.
ETFs, maybe some alternative. They're all market-based assets. So if the market goes down, which is called systematic risk, whole thing comes down, there's nowhere to hide. All your stuff is going on. But it's non-correlated assets or different assets, such as real estate, such as business ownership, such as gold, silver, commodities, heck, even cryptocurrency. The That's not directly tied to the market. That, in my opinion, that's more a diversified portfolio.
I 100% agree with you. And I think people get confused by that.
Mhm. Yeah.
And then they're advised to stay in traditional assets, right? Buy your ETF, buy your mutual fund. That's what we're told to do. We're not told to go into a PPM or a private offering or oil and gas and even real estate. I mean, look, real estate's an investment. I do agree. And it takes a little bit more effort than buying a stock, right?
Yeah, it's in my opinion, it's really once you are get really good at understanding how to use debt properly. Right, debt is like fire. If you use it correctly, campfire, heats your house, cooks your food, everything is great. If you use it incorrectly, burns absolutely everything to the ground. Right. So, and that is the biggest thing that's going to separate a checkers player and a chess player is their attitude towards debt. And when I say I'm using debt in this context, I don't mean running your credit card up at Walmart.
Right.
I mean how to use proper leverage. But you have to have assets, right, to be able to get loans. That's it's so saving is in traditional assets is definitely part of the game. It's just not the game, right? So when you go to a lender and you plop down these statements that shows that you have the resources to pay them back if you needed to, the lenders are typically more apt to give you a loan, right? But the trick is you have the resources to pay them back with your own money, but you don't want to pay them back with your own money. You want to pay
Right.
them back with whatever that asset they're using the loan for, whatever you're purchasing with that loan that produces cash flow, that pays back the loan. And some of that goes into the investments. Oh, and some of it goes into your pocket and you enjoy life now, not waiting 30 years for compound interest to be able to supply you with your golden wheelchair. I'm not a big fan of that, the golden wheelchair strategy. Um, because, in my opinion, compound interest just takes too long. Not that it's wrong or it's false, it's math, it can't be wrong, but it just takes too long. Human beings don't live long enough for compound interest to really do what people would like it to do. But it's oversold by the financial institutions. They love talking about compound interest and showing you cool graphs. And, if you started investing, and if you put like kind of $100 towards something in 1950, whatever, how much money
Yeah.
would you have now? I'm like, well, you'd likely be dead. That's what you would like. So, I don't know how much money you would
That's
have now.
funny.
So,
Yeah.
but if you're using leverage properly and you can build wealth and build income, so you can afford the cool stuff, you can afford to enjoy your life. I'm a big baseball guy, and my son plays competitive travel baseball. That's what we enjoy. My daughter's a competitive cheerleader, and we enjoy going to those competitions, having those family outings. But we enjoy those with income, not with savings. Saving money is another really by itself very oversold, in my opinion.
And when you started talking about the compound interest and just waiting so long, no, you're right on both. It does take a long time, and it is math. It does work. Um, so I agree with you there. What I thought you were where you were going was the idea of investing in retirement accounts
Mhm.
and how you have to wait so long before you could access it. There's a book called Set for Life. I'm not sure if you've read that one. Very good book with a lot of alternative type of strategies and thoughts. It kind of it's sort of like the Robert Kiyosaki where your house isn't an asset because it's taking money from you. That kind of concept.
Mhm.
But one of the things that he says in this book is investing in your retirement, your 401ks, your IRAs slows down your retirement because you can't access that cash. You can't go to the baseball game, the traveling baseball team with your 401k
No,
until
but
you're a certain age, right?
that's correct. But I would say that the lenders like it. My job, in my opinion, is to help people look very, very good to the lenders because the lenders have the money, they can give you the loans. So if you are saving diligently in a retirement account and you're stopping there, I see that as something you want to reconsider or at least understand, right? But if you're investing in vehicles with some tax strategies, but you're showing that the lenders and you're basically showing them that they could pay you back. Yeah, they would have to pay taxes and penalties and all that stuff. You wouldn't want to do it, but you could. And being able to use the loans to purchase the assets that are going to cash flow so you can enjoy your life now, not waiting until you're 59 and a half before you can even touch it. You have to look at the savings from a different lens, right? If you start looking at it as the collateral for the loans instead of what I'm going to use later to be able to purchase things or go on the vacations or whatever you enjoy. I think that once you get that mindset, it's easier. But when people think that they're just going to invest in the retirement accounts, everything is going to be fine. I'm the person that you know um, is likely managing that retirement account, and I'm saying that's not going to likely lead you to a promised land because it just takes so much money in the market to be able to generate the kind of income that people would like. right? So
Mm,
even if you're using the 4% rule, which, is kind of a napkin rule, $1 million is $40,000, right? A year. And if it's pre-tax, that's before taxes. Where are you retiring on
yeah.
$40,000? Um, so, and you saved $1 million. It's not like you saved just a small bit of money. You saved $1 million. So, yeah, it's really people really need to start, in my opinion, start changing their mindsets. Now, if it can work, I want to point this out. If checkers can work, you can have a great life, you can retire, you can generate income, and you can be happy, and that's the most important thing. If that's what you want, what you can't do, in my opinion, is become wealthy playing checkers. For that, you would have to switch over to the chess. So when I wrote the book, it was more of, a self-discovery book where people are, by the end of the book, are going to understand whether they are a checkers player or are they a chess player, whether they want to switch. But what nobody should be doing at the end of the book is screaming at the moon, why do the rich keep getting richer and others not? It's like, well, you're not playing the same game. We have like we've had all-time highs just recently in the market. Is everybody just kind of quitting their jobs and, you know and retiring? No. It's but I want people to not just invest money in the bank. I want people to invest money in a bank and then do what the bank is doing, not just put money towards mutual funds. I want people to do that and then do what the investment companies are doing, that issue those mutual funds. I want people not to just purchase insurance products or policies or whatever. I want people to do what insurance companies are doing. Um, because that's where you build a wealth. Now, it's not going to be on the same scale, right? But it is, definitely something that people should understand and know that is out there. And chess is accessible for everyone. But it's just whether you're playing little league or you're playing in the major leagues, it's the same game, right? So, and depending on what level you want to play at, is what you're going to work for. But if you're playing, you know, baseball and you're playing cricket. Those are two totally different games, even though they have a bat and a ball involved. Uh, Not the same.
This episode is brought to you by Pine Financial Group. Pine Financial is a private lender specializing in short-term rehab lending to real estate investors. Got a property that needs some love? We can help. We are able to offer funding solutions because we raise private money from individual investors. With more than 15 years of experience, Pine offers passive investors an alternative that provides stability, consistency, and security to your portfolio. If you like real estate but want to avoid the ups and downs and effort, a Pine mortgage fund could be a perfect fit for you. Accredited investors will experience an 8% preferred return and profit sharing. Diversify your portfolio out of Wall Street and into Main Street with a Pine Financial Group mortgage fund. Get more information at pinefinancialgroup.com. That's pinefinancialgroup.com. Yeah, I want to get into the chess and checkers analogy that you keep referencing, but before that, real quick. So you said do what the banks are doing, which I love that. That's how I started Pine Financial Group. So
Mm,
I was a real estate investor, like a
mm.
lot of your clients,
And
and I was
myself.
like, and yourself. And I was working my ass off, right? You know, it's not easy. It pays very well over time, especially over time. I don't think there's a better way to wealth, quite honestly. But I what I saw was the banks are taking this very secure position. They're in a first position lien on my property. Like the chances of a loss are pretty small, especially after the '08 crash. I mean, everything has been pretty good since then. And they're making a killing on just this cash flow every single month. Just cash is just coming in, coming in, coming in. And so that's why I started Pine Financial. And it's just like 8 to 10% returns to investors on a secure lien position on real estate. So it's not a huge upside like we get when we own the property, but it's a pretty good cash flowing asset. Do you think that's a decent investment to an overall diversified portfolio?
I think it can be. But if I think something people should work towards is owning the asset, for sure. Like, having that cash flow, but cash flow is the main part of this whole that whole part of that conversation is that you want to do what banks do, and they're creating cash flow for
Mhm.
themselves, right? So why aren't you creating cash flow. Now, I have nothing against the banks because it's very overt. It's on the wall when you walk in. Like they're clear as day. They're not hiding anything. They have this big old sign that says, "We're going to pay you this, and then we're going to charge you that,
Yeah,
and this is
exactly.
our spread." So it's very overt. Um, but yeah, but there's a reason why the biggest skyscrapers in most U.S. cities are banks.
Yeah.
Um, and just getting that idea that we're people got to understand fractional reserve banking, and where the money goes. It's going to chess players that are borrowing out your deposits that like minutes after you put your money inside the bank. um, and that's how the bank earns money. So I want people to at least have these conversations, but they have to be in a good position. So I don't say like any one way is perfect, one strategy is perfect, but people should understand just doing the same old's not going to get it there. I hear it all the time. People say like, "Well, don't most people do this?" I'm like, "Yeah, most people do that. Do you want what most people have,
Right.
or do you want something different? Because you cannot have uncommon results doing common things." And understanding the chess strategies, and even if you don't choose to do them, at least you knew they were there, right? And if you're going to be a checkers player, I want you to be a darn good checkers player. Nothing sucks more than being a bad checkers player. You will get your butt whooped by capitalism. But understanding that this other game is out there and available, and that's definitely what we teach our clients.
So I read maybe it was last year. I read the biography of Vanderbilt, and
Mhm.
I was shocked, Freddie, to see that he loved private lending as an investor. And I
Mhm.
have to assume he was a chess player. Now, I'm going to find out in just a minute because you're going to tell me the difference between the two. But there's a lot of wealthy, wealthy minds that are into lending money. It's not such a terrible investment. So, with that said, give me an idea, man. When you say chess versus checkers, I have a pretty good idea of the concept, but it
Mhm.
hasn't been identified for us yet. So let the listener, let myself know what's the difference.
Okay, the difference, a checkers player is somebody who you're just investing in the market, right? You're fully funding retirement accounts. You have 3 to 6 months of emergency funds. Your attitude towards debt is, I want to be debt free. I don't want to owe anything to anybody.
Dave Ramsey,
Um,
yeah.
yeah, it's really a focus on earning interest in your accounts and having that be your future income. So it's very future based, future, save for later. um and relying on your income, leveraging your income for like for like your mortgage or whatever. But it's it it's relying a lot on compound interest, and kind of handing your money over to the financial institutions, and not taking a real active role in your wealth building, right? And like I said, you can be happy doing that. I'm not discrediting checkers. I'm just saying it's checkers. So, and chess is, all right, I want to be wealthy. You have that attitude, right? And you are saying, okay, what are these institutions, these um, what are the wealthy doing, right? And like I said, debt comes in big there, right? So when people say, I want to be debt free, it's like, well, corporations typically aren't debt free because they issue these debt instruments that we just call bonds. It's a debt instrument. Municipalities, same way. They borrow money from chess players. They 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 improve their infrastructure. They charge higher taxes because more people move there. Um, so they're playing chess. Municipalities are playing chess. The same financial institutions that I like from an from like security standpoint, like mutual funds and ETFs and whatever. Um, there are plenty out there that I like, and I put my clients' money in them, right? But the very next day, I'm getting my butt beat off by them in some real estate deal that I'm trying to close. And where did they get the money? Well, they got it from me the day before, putting my clients'
It's
money
funny.
into their funds, right? So, and I don't say there's anything wrong with that. So, it's it's part of the game, but it's really taking on that position like, oh, I'm going to build wealth, but it's not something you likely would be able to do by yourself. You should build a team, and that includes wealth advisors that are also chess players, right? Um, who understand the chess game. Good tax professionals that are also chess players. They're playing the same game you're playing. They understand, and even made hopefully some mistakes that they can tell you not to make. Um, and good lenders who um, are going to give you good deals on your loans. So it's really about building that team and a good realtors in different areas, good property managers in different areas for sure. That is huge, um, and it's really taking an active role in your wealth building experience.
One thing that almost every single guest has had in common, Freddie, and you just said it, how important the team is.
Oh yeah,
That is almost a universal, like high priority item for success. And as I was listening to you talk, I was thinking, all of this makes so much sense. And it really comes down to what their goal is. So like if you want to be more passive and spend time watching baseball around the country with your son, rental properties is a little bit tougher. I mean, even if you have a manager, sometimes you have to manage a manager. So
manage the
I
managers for sure.
yeah, so I agree with you. I would much prefer to be on the equity side and own it, but the debt side does provide some passive cash flow. So I guess maybe the listener, I'm talking to the listener now, maybe it's setting your goals and figuring out what your goals are first, and then going to a Freddie or going to Freddie, and then trying to figure out how to have him help you accomplish that goal. Because it might not be dealing with tenants and toilets, it might be other assets, and you could still be diversified into alternative assets without that effort. I guess that was my point.
Yes,
But let's
property managers are huge. Like I don't know the first
totally
names of anybody that lives in any of my properties. So I know the names of all the property managers in different
managers. Yeah,
areas where I own the properties, but not when I say take an active role, I mean in the business side,
totally.
not in the day-to-day operations, because you want to enjoy your life. You don't want to you want to go to those games with your kids, not um,
Exactly.
I'm probably headed up to New York tomorrow to take my son to the World Series. So but yeah, that's what that's the goal, is to be able to create income for yourself where you get to do what you want to do when you want to do it with whomever you want to do it with.
Right. Cool, man. Well, tell us about your book.
The book is called Playing the Wealth Game. It looks like this, and it released, I think, in August, and it's a like I said, it's more of a self discovery book. I've been told it's very easy to read, which is was one of my goals, so I'm very proud of that. I didn't want it to be like just a financial mumbo jumbo book, um, because yes, I enjoy that stuff, and sometimes I don't even like reading it.
Yeah.
Uh, you're easy to read and really just kind of it calls it out, right? So it says there's nothing wrong with checkers, but if you're playing checkers, your expectations need to be what a checkers player can be able to achieve. But if you want to play chess, here's some strategies. This is what uh, different things you can do, and just pointing it out. Like I said, having that evidence based mindset. Heck, having even like things like life insurance companies, right? Like, how in the heck can life insurance companies have great years in 2020, 2021, and 2022? What they insure is life. Life is dying. The
Mhm.
global life threatening pandemic. CNN's got a scoreboard on every single night on how many people have died from COVID. And it would be logical to assume that a life insurance company would have bad years during a life threatening pandemic because they insure life. And that wasn't the case. They had great years. And I'm not saying they did anything wrong or they didn't pay out the claims or anything like they certainly did. I'm saying they're doing things right. It's just probably not what those same life insurance companies are telling their agents to tell people, right? So, again, taking that evidence based mindset and looking around, going, is this what you're doing, or is this what you're telling everybody to do? And it's almost like a paternalistic element where you got the financial world saying, chess would be too hard for you. You should just play checkers and hand over your money to us, and we'll give it back to you in 30 years or whatever, and leave it to the adults. There's that element to it, and I'm saying no. Chess is for people who want to build wealth but want to build it the right way.
That's so interesting how you describe that. I didn't look, I don't follow that stuff like you do. So I didn't know that the insurance company had good years, profitable years during that time. But
Oh yeah,
gosh, isn't that interesting?
yeah. And no, I feel like no one said it. Like it just went completely under the radar. Like no one talked about it. Like how can Northwestern Mutual, New York Life, Mass Mutual have great years during a life-threatening pandemic? So,
Yeah. So tell me, what are your, why?
oh, one of the reasons is real estate. They own, they own real estate. They own lots of real estate. They own businesses. It's like the conglomerates. They are well diversified over multiple asset classes, not just in any one, but it's even a life threatening pandemic, it's just like a BB at a freight train for them. They just knocked that thing off and just kept on going. And and real estate took off, and their general funds did very well with the market increase. It's doing what they're doing. They're purchasing real estate. They're purchasing businesses. You have stayed at a hotel owned by an insurance company. You have shopped at a mall where that property is owned by an insurance company. Um, you bought something that a parent company. The parent company is a life insurance company. So again, it's just kind of doing what they're doing, but it's not going to be on the same scale, right?
Yeah.
But
Yeah. Yeah.
instead of owning like some JK Marriott on some vacation destination spot, right? You might own a rental property, a quad
Right.
somewhere, right? But you're still doing similar strategies, just not on the same scale.
I'm sure there's a way to look up the assets of these. These are public companies, so I
Well,
could
no,
probably look that.
they're online. You can
Yeah.
look
I'm,
them
I'm,
up.
I'm going to do that because that's so interesting. And I know this is going to sound silly, but I'm just thinking, okay, so if they own the Marriott, do they insure their own property? Like, I don't know how
I
that works.
I can't speak to the under the hood stuff, but I know where they're driving.
That's funny. All right, cool, man. So here's what I'd like to do. I'm going to go through my notes, and then I want you to tell us how do we get a hold of you? How do we get to find your book?
Hmm.
And then right before we end, I want you to give us a like a final piece of advice, knowing that the listener is real estate investors.
Hmm.
So start thinking about that. But here's my notes that I took from you, Freddie. So you mentioned something I thought was interesting, that debt is like fire. You could really benefit from that, right? Cook your food, but it can also take you down. It'll burn the whole thing down if you're not careful with it. Savings is only part of the game. So if you want to play checkers, that might be the entire game. But really, for true wealth, savings is only part of it. What are you going to buy with that money that you're saving? And you want to be
Now, what
buying
kind of loan are you going to take
assets.
out with that?
Exactly. You want to be buying assets that'll help you be bankable, right? You want, how's
Mm,
a bank going to look at you? And that's why you said the 401k thing. And I'm not disagreeing with you at all. I was just pointing out what I read in a book, which is totally different than what everyone else is saying. So I thought
mm,
that was interesting. I just wanted to get your thought on that. Um, what does this one say? Do you want what most people have? I wrote that down because I found that interesting. Now that's something that we hear a lot, but the way you said that, it caught my attention, so I wrote it down. Checkers. This is where I ask you, like, what's the difference? You keep saying chess, you keep saying checkers. What's the difference, man? You said checkers is very much a debt-free game. I threw in the Dave Ramsey comment there: save money, compound interest, and hope to retire at some point.
mm.
Chess. Now, if you want true wealth, now wealth can mean different things to different people.
Right.
But you were saying if you want true wealth, you have to play chess, and this is what the wealthy play: using debt and having a team.
Mm,
So then we went into the the wealth game. You told us a little bit about the wealth game. So how did I do on my notes? What did I miss?
Um, no, just I want people. I think the notes are good. Just want people to understand that there are two games. There are two games, and you will be sold a game um, by the world. If you want to play checkers, play it well. Find a good checkers financial advisor. If you want to play chess, well, then that you want to find somebody who wants to play that is playing that game and wants to help you with that game as well, and not trying to talk you out of that game and constantly playing checkers.
Yeah.
Good question to ask. If you're trying to find a wealth advisor, that's kind of on the same path as you. Just I'll say, do you own multiple doors? And if they say no, probably not the best person if you want to play chess, right? It's also, are they in a good financial position themselves? I kind of liken that to, like, if you went to the gym and you asked for a personal trainer, and some out of shape
Yeah.
slob came up
Totally.
to you, like, would you? And like, I'm going to be your personal trainer. Like, the heck you are,
Uh,
right? So it just doesn't say the right thing. That person should be in shape. Now, it doesn't mean that that personal trainer needs to be Mr. Olympia to be a good personal trainer. It just means that they should look like they're taking the
care
same
of
advice that
themselves.
they're giving, right?
Totally agree.
So
I'm sure you've read the book, the Harry Potter series.
I have not. I've seen some of the movies, but
Okay.
my kids watched it.
Have you seen the first one?
I
I
did see
just
the
read
first
the
one.
Okay, I just read this book to my daughter and we went and watched the movie. And there's a part in the movie, Freddie, you probably remember, but it's at the very end when they're trying to get to the stone where they have to go through all these little enchantments or these little obstacles basically to get to where they're trying to get to. And one of them is crossing a chessboard.
Yeah, I do remember that. Yes,
Okay, so
and
you know that Harry doesn't really know how to play chess. He's not very good at it.
the redheaded guy does.
So he does, yeah. He uses somebody else on his team to do that for him, right?
Hmm.
So I'm just thinking, because I just read that to my daughter. Now you're telling me chess, checkers, and I'm like, oh my gosh, look, I'm making this correlation here. But look, you don't have to know how to play chess to play chess. You can
No,
just get the right team to play the game for you. And I
you
think that's
want
what you're
working
saying.
knowledge for sure. You want working knowledge to be like I. I mean, I can play the game, but I'm not. If I understand football, right? I can watch football. I understand what's going on. But by no means does that mean I'm like in the same level of knowledge as Bill Belichick, right? He knows football in a different way than I understand that 10 yards is a first down, or,
Yeah,
a touchdown,
exactly.
6 points or whatever. That's not the same. And I can't read a 300-page book on football and be caught up with Bill Belichick, right? So, if people just kind of translate the analogy to like almost anything, like, you want to hire people that are experts.
Right. Yeah. That was the point I'm making. Okay. Great job, man. So tell us, how do we get a hold of you?
Easy way to get a hold of me is going to optafinancial.com. That's our firm, optafinancial.com. And in the top right hand corner, the button says schedule a consultation. Will bring you directly to our Calendly link. Calendly basically runs my life now. Um, and Combine consultation, and we help people understand if we're going to be a good fit for them. Are they going to be a good fit for us? We want to work with chess players. We want to work with people that want to build wealth. Um, it doesn't mean they have to have a bazillion dollars just yet, but they have to have the want, and have to have some means to be able to do things. That 0.6% I mentioned earlier has to be actually of a number, um, for
Got
for
it.
us to be able to work them. Yeah, that's the easiest way. And of course, they can pick up the book if they're not, if they want to learn more about me and my philosophies. That's a great way of doing it as well.
Cool. So playing the wealth game, and we can get that where?
Get it on Amazon. It's on paperback. It's on ebook. It's on Audible. For those of you who don't, rather just listen to a book. I myself am pretty included in that category. I listen to
Yeah, me
books in my
too.
car more than I do like sit down and actually reading them. Yeah, it's on every platform. Amazon, Barnes and Nobles, you name it.
Cool. Playing
It's
the wealth game.
so today it was number 7 in investing. Really want to get it to number 1. Number 1 is held by Warren Buffett right now, so that
Good
is going to
luck.
be a little bit hard to jump. But I am, nothing is over until I win. So, but it's it is in the top 10, which is great.
Nice, man. Congratulations on that. All
Thank
right, final piece of advice.
you. Successful people are people who are willing to do things they may not want to do in order to get where they want to be.
Love it, man. All right. Well, I got to say, I really appreciate your time today. I got getting to know you. I don't talk to a ton of wealth advisors, as I mentioned, so it's
Mhm.
really refreshing to talk to you today and get your insights on some of these concepts. And I love how you definitely are into alternative assets. So
Mhm.
glad to have you on the show, and I appreciate your 40-ish minutes, actually a little over 40 minutes today. So thank you for that, and for the listener, I know you got some value out of this one because it's a little different than what we normally do on the show. Cool episode. So please, 5-star review, share it with a friend, help us out. We're trying to build a community to help more real estate investors just like you. And with that, I hope you make this day a great one. Hey guys, I hope you enjoyed this episode as much as I did. If you did, please be sure to follow and leave us a review. Oh yeah, and tell a friend.